we'll just give people a few moments before diving into our questions. We have lots of great questions today. We've got lots of questions about Ayurveda that I'm going to answer. We've got frozen fruit, talking about nuts. We'll be talking about supplements, the one that I really love and recommend, cravings. We'll talk about the doshas and starting to balance the doshas, what that looks like, what that entails. Talk about vata on a raw vegan diet. That's a really common question I've gotten so many times, and some of these Ayurveda questions in particular, I've made videos about them on my YouTube channel, and those, I think I have an Ayurveda playlist there that I like to add to, and I also have a lot of information in my ebooks. I have an Ayurveda Basics ebook and 2 recipe books with Ayurveda information and another one on the way. So I think we will go ahead and dive in. So the first question, you say no frozen fruit, but I love it so much even though I get cold. What do I do instead? And I think this is someone who got my free ebook, which I have a free ebook. The link is in my bio. It's a recipe book with 10 raw vegan recipes and tips for your dosha, some information and story about Ayurveda, how I got into it. And I'm thinking she was kind of more of a vata and was seeing my notes about not eating frozen fruit if you're a vata. And yeah, that is best practice. Best practice is like eat all your fruit fresh, like ideally. But we live in a crazy world, and you know, sometimes frozen fruit is the best option available. So I use it. I buy frozen berries all the time. I live on the big island of Hawaii. Not a lot of fresh berries I'm able to get, so I get the organic berries in bulk. What to do if you are relying heavily on frozen fruit? Don't fret. I did a little research on it. Yeah, so frozen fruits are typically picked at peak ripeness, unlike fresh fruits that you find at the grocery store that are usually picked unripe because they're gonna be picked, stored, transported, on the shelf, all of these things, and that takes a lot of time. So frozen fruit, you're gonna get peak ripeness fruit or closer to peak ripeness, and it doesn't get blanched. So frozen vegetables, on the other hand, are blanched, which means they're lightly plunged into boiling water for a few minutes to retain their color and their texture, and then they're flash frozen. But the frozen fruit is not cooked unless it says it's cooked, and the only thing you really have to look for on the frozen fruit, try to buy organic, especially if it's a dirty dozen frozen fruit, and make sure there's no added sugar in that either. I know sometimes with like acai packs, I find they'll add sugar to them. That's one of the more common ones, but usually you can get frozen fruit without sugar, no problem. The nutritional composition of frozen fruit, pretty similar. That's been studied quite a lot too. Very comparable. Is it going to be as good as, you know, if you grow your own food or get produce from a local farmer? Okay, probably not, maybe not, but it is a good option if you are going to use it, which I do. You know, it's not optimal in these winter months, but I still do it. And you know, a lot of times if I'm like ahead of the game, I will pull it out before I make my smoothie. I'll put everything in my blender and just kind of let it sit there and thaw a bit to room temperature. If you want to be like totally on your game, you could pull it out the night before, put it in a container in the refrigerator, and let it thaw overnight so that by the time you're making it in the morning, it's thawed out. You know, it'll still be cold from being in the fridge, but you could then even take that out and use that. So those are some options if you are gonna use frozen fruit. Wear a lot of clothes, you know, bundle up. Like I put on all my clothes. I put on this big thing, and I've got another hoodie I put on. I have my warm fuzzy socks on. I mean, I'm in Hawaii. It's not cold here, but like if it's a cloudy day and 70 degrees out, you know, I will get cold if I'm eating frozen fruit. So bundle up, turn your heater on, you know, if you have a little space heater too, those are really handy. Stay warm, you know, go sit in the sunshine if it's sunny and not too cold, you know. But yeah, that's pretty much it about the frozen fruit, I think. Really good option. I really like to buy my fruit fresh, and you know, if I have, this happens with bananas commonly, or papaya, I'll get like a ton of them. They will all ripen, and I will let them get fully ripe and then freeze them, store them, and they're good to go. That's another way to ensure the quality and that peak freshness, that peak ripeness too. All right, so moving on, I got another question. Just, hey, welcome to everyone coming in. I'm so glad y'all are here. But yeah, getting into the next question, it's about peanuts. I got the question, do you eat peanuts? How about cashews? What nuts and seeds do you eat? I do not eat peanuts. I find them inflammatory for me, like Pitta aggravating, and not digesting well. A lot of times they'll cause diarrhea. They're also a bit addictive and like hard to have a quitting sense with them. So I tend not to eat them, even if they're raw. Like in Thailand, I was able to get raw peanuts pretty commonly, and they might have been raw like the raw cashews where they were steamed. So I'm not even sure that they were raw. They were more raw than, you know, the hardcore roasted salted ones that you normally find in places. But I was eating a bunch of them in Thailand a couple years ago, and just like, I wasn't feeling my best. I mean, they tasted really good. I was making awesome things with it, but my digestion was not wonderful. I felt a bit inflamed, and so that's not something I eat regularly. I think you can get raw jungle peanuts, so if you're gonna go for the raw peanuts, I would do those jungle peanuts and probably soak them and give them some time to get rid of all their nutrients. But the bad ones, the ones that cause digestive problems. As far as cashews go, I've actually taken a break from cashews. That's something that I see as a good transition food. They are not raw. Even the raw ones in the store, they've been steamed. They have to be. And I looked into this specifically today, just to be able to tell you all the exact right information. They're not raw. They contain a compound called urushiol, urushiol, and it is a substance found in poison ivy. And it's toxic. It can cause skin reactions as if you were actually contacting poison ivy. So, you know, I think, like I said, cashews are a good transition food. If you don't have any problems and you're consuming them, or like you're fine with the idea of not being fully raw in that way. Hey, Susie and Lynn. Oh, I love seeing all the friends coming in. We're talking about cashews. I've taken a break from them. I think if you're really trying to go as like anti-inflammatory as possible, as clean as possible, and also as healing promoting as possible, cashews are just like not the vibe I'm looking for. But I know a lot of people tolerate them fine, and I think it's great as a transition food, especially if you're addicted to dairy or something and you're switching to a cashew-based cheese. Like, that's awesome. Be there. That's great. And I'm just sharing where I'm at on my journey. What nuts and seeds do I eat? The ones I'm consuming right now, my favorites are walnuts. They're so good. They have some omega-3s. I always soak them beforehand. Usually if I know I'm going to use them for dinner, I will soak them in the morning in some filtered water, just barely cover them, and then I don't think you can get cashews that are really raw. I think they're always steamed. If they're really raw, you're not going to want to eat them because they have that toxic compound in them. So I would not go for that. You can get the cashew fruit, and that's a whole different thing. The fruit you can eat, and then the nut is different, and that's the portion that actually has to be steamed to be safe. The cashew fruit is nice. You can find that in the tropics. It's really cute. If I find it here, I'll definitely post it for sure. Yeah, exactly, Lynn. Everyone's different. Cashews can work for some people. Yeah, Susie, they're not raw. Period. Yeah, totally. Thanks, y'all, for chiming in on that one. But yeah, walnuts I love. Any nut or seed, any nut I eat, I always soak. And I also love almonds, which I soak. And I have pecans. Mac nuts are really great. I really like hemp seeds and chia seeds, and as well as pumpkin seeds, tahini, love tahini. Hey Robin, welcome. We're missing you in the reset. My microgreen setup is like totally inspired by you, by the way. Like the whole rack thing. It's so great and so organized. Yeah, I've seen Blue Mountain Organics. They have like raw nut butters and seed butters, if I'm remembering correctly. I think I've had their tahini. Yeah. But yeah, hemp seeds I really love because they're really nice and balanced with omega-3s and 6s, as well as the chia seeds I'm eating every day in my smoothies. And like, they're amazing. They've been a total game changer for me, and I highly recommend them. A tablespoon of chia a day. That's really good for your omega-3s. And the reason you want those is because you want to balance your omega-6s. Those are in every fat, in all the plant fats, pretty abundantly. And most people are consuming too many of those omega-6. And you can be eating like a raw vegan diet and be eating too many omega-6 and be causing inflammation in the body and not getting the healing that you're looking for. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But yeah, nuts and seeds have a place in my diet. I'm eating between 10 and 20% fat calories, of my total calories. 10 to 20% are coming from fat, and I definitely recommend including some fat in your diet, an appropriate amount for you, and I think that varies based on the individual as well. All right. So next question is another good one. Let's open this can of worms. Y'all ready? About supplements. Why do we need supplements? And I would say that we may or may not need supplements. So in my experience, I have needed supplements. I went periods of my raw vegan journey not supplementing, and ended up with some issues with B12 specifically, D3, despite having a nice tan and being in the sun pretty regularly, as well as my omega-3s, which I was just talking about. So you can have issues with those problematic nutrients. And for everyone, really, if you're on a plant-based healing journey, I recommend, I say this like every live, so I'm on repeat here, but go and get blood work. See where you're at. Don't just start supplementing because, oh, that looks trendy, or this promoter is promoting this, or this person looks really healthy and they're taking it. See actually what you need and strategically supplement based on that. Responsibly supplement based on your individual blood work results. And I've spoken about this in previous lives. If you can find a plant-based doctor to work with, if you can find a raw vegan doctor to work with, like Dr. Rick and Karen Dina, who I'm going to be doing my next set of labs with, that's going to be more beneficial and like less confusing than just going to a regular naturopath who doesn't see vegan blood work that often, let alone raw vegan blood work. They don't know like what's going on or what's normal for a raw vegan, whereas someone who is familiar with that diet will actually know what to recommend you. So if you get labs done by a regular naturopath or a regular doctor, and they're going to tell you a bunch of supplements, do your own research. Like, look up each individual thing that was weird on your labs or flagged, and do research, work with someone, and even get a second opinion on those labs by someone who has more of a plant-based background. That can be helpful. My aunt has done that for me. I was so grateful. She's a retired physician, but she eats very clean plant-based diet, low but adequate fat, and she's really on her game she loves the numbers and like reading labs and totally nerding out on that stuff. So she's helped me in the past. But yeah, get blood work done, see where you're at. If you're like, Taylor, I don't want to go to, yeah, exactly, it's expensive. It is, but I mean, I don't have health insurance. Like, I'll do it out of pocket once a year, and that's like my part of my health investment. Yeah, the Dinas are freaking awesome. I can't wait to do a consultation with them. But yeah, if you don't want to get lab work, but you're like, I do feel like maybe I need to supplement, something you can look into is a well-rounded vegan supplement that is vegan and made for vegans. And I have found that it is called Complement Plus. I've been taking that since they released the supplement, which was a couple years ago. I was so excited. Because it's a great point of reference, Robin, for sure. Because I had those issues with the B12 and D3 and had all the recommendations, you need to take this and this and this. And it's all of that in one bottle, and it's a 2-month supply. And I became an affiliate with them because it's something I actually use and I'm talking about commonly on these lives and with clients. So I am an affiliate. I do have an affiliate link. You can get 10% off, and you get an even better deal if you do their subscription, which ships you a 2-month supply, and you can change how often you get that 2-month supply too. You can get it every 3 months if, let's say, you don't want to take it every day. But I'll tell you what it has in it. It is made in the USA. Yay! Like, actually, not from China or something. Non-GMO, gluten-free. It has the big 3. It focuses on the big 3. There's B12, D3, omega-3. It's from algae, and it's got DHA and EPA, and those are the 2 omega-3s we actually have to convert from ALA, which you can eat in like flax seeds and chia seeds, easy to get. But the DHA and EPA is something you actually have to convert. And so theirs is an algae-based source of that, and they tested it, and it beat out krill oil, it beat out fish oil as more absorbable and bioavailable, which is awesome, because that's always what the naturopaths want to recommend, is like, oh, get on that fish oil, you're a raw vegan, you need your omega-3s. That's what I was recommended when I had the low omega-3s, and I was like, at the store, I don't want to buy fish oil, that's disgusting and probably contaminated and would cause more issues than good, so I didn't do that. Those are in there. And then, so there's also iodine, essential for the thyroid, vitamin K2, magnesium, selenium, and zinc. And so these are essential nutrients that are not found abundantly in or not adequately absorbed from plant foods. So it's like your one-stop shop, whole food, plant-based, vegan supplement. And there's no artificial colors or anything. The capsule is black. It's like not attractive, but it's nice because it's not like a fake color or something. There's also omega-7, chlorophyll, and carotenoids in it. And yeah, it's third-party tested, transparent production. Y'all can go to their website and read about it. They have some videos and stuff if you're interested. But yeah, that's something that really it's a good kind of prevention tactic if you don't want to get the labs and you want to have your bases covered. That's what I would recommend to do. It's a good option. So why do we need to supplement? Like more of a theoretical question. Well, we can't get a lot of the nutrients from the food because, as many of you may know, environmentally conscious people, the soils are not as rich as they used to be. They're depleted. The land is less and less fertile all the time. The more I learn about permaculture, the more I'm learning about, how to build soil fertility, how to enrich the soil, how to create soil. And that's just not what's happening in even like organic agriculture, like the large scale organic ag farms. They're even depleting the soil. So just because it's, I'll save it, I'll put it on my IGTV and YouTube if I'm able to download it. But yeah, thanks for coming, Robin. Sometimes I have trouble downloading it, but it will be on IGTV for sure. Let's see. Yeah, so soil quality has resulted in way less nutritious food, unfortunately. Way less nutritious, even if you're doing all fruits and vegetables, unfortunately. And, that's why I think grow as much of your own food as possible. Start creating your own soil. Start doing the living foods. Get those nutrients in. Take it upon yourself to start growing some or all of your food eventually is my goal. Shop from smaller farmers, buy local food. All of these are great strategies to up your nutrients. But then there's this other problem. So let's say you're growing all, hey Paulina, welcome. So let's say you're growing all your food and you're getting a lot of nutrients that way. Well, you might not be able to internally convert. Like B12, for example, that is something we can produce in our gut tract, but the state of most people's gut tracts is extremely poor. So that B12 production is not happening. And then, there's the omega-3 issue of the internal conversion there, and lots of other issues with maybe we're not able to get it, maybe our bodies aren't able to process it. So at an earlier stage in the healing journey, it may be necessary to do some supplementation. Do I think it's possible eventually to not do any supplementation? That is certainly my goal. But that's something I'm not just gonna quit all my supplements. I'm gonna do the labs, and when the labs indicate, just annually that I don't need to supplement anymore, then I'm gonna throw a party where everyone can come over and there will be no more supplements because I would really rather not. Another way you can supplement a more whole food thing. If you're like, ew, capsules, pills, I'm not into that. Get yourself a high quality barley grass juice powder like Daily Green Boost. I have a link to that one in my bio. It's good. It's grown in really high quality soil, and that's why it's so awesome. And I think I have a 10% off coupon or something. I'm an affiliate for that, so disclosure. I'll make $5 if you buy some, or a few dollars. So, but it is a good option, as well as a high quality wheatgrass juice powder, and I'm really excited about that. I've never tried that before, but I just ordered Dr. Berg's wheatgrass juice powder, and the juice part is very, very important because if you just get the grass, that's going to come with a whole lot of fiber that is just going to go right on through. So the juice powder is key. But when I get that in, I can show y'all what that looks like and do a bit of a review. And I got 6 bottles, so I'm gonna have a lot of it. I think it's 60 servings a bottle. It's something you can take twice a day, which I probably will. It's a good coffee replacement. But those are 2 more whole food, maybe slightly more natural, still not completely natural. It's fully dehydrated, but those are good sources of nutrients that can supplement your diet as well if you're not into the capsules and the blood work. Also, fresh wheatgrass juice would be awesome too. I hope to grow that when I have a bit more space, because it's something I think if you have like a whole huge tray of it, you could use all of that in just one little juice. So I don't have quite the space yet for that, but coming eventually. All right, let's see. Next question. I liked this one. There was real urgency in it. It was, how the F do I get rid of cravings? And he didn't say F, he said the word. But I'm not going to say the word because I'm being proper. Yeah, how the F do you get rid of cravings? I started going into this question. I was like, this is what you do, and this is what you do, and this, and this, and this. And then I had a moment of like remembering, one of my raw vegan teachers, what she says, Tanny Raw. She says you just got to be with it, You got to be in that moment of that craving and like sit with it and let it burn through you. Let it just... let the fire burn. Let the karma burn. That's actually what they say in like Buddhism and meditations too. Also, let that craving be. Like, notice it. And the less you just say no to it and don't indulge, yes, drink water, I'm getting to that, the longer you kind of chain together a series of saying no to it, it'll get easier. It will diminish and diminish and diminish. Because also, if you're not indulging it, then you're letting those bacteria in your guts, who are actually the one like craving the stuff, they're gonna all pass out of you anyway. They're gonna die off because you're not feeding them. So from that perspective, you're gonna have less of those cravings too. The more you can just say no, it's a problem food for you, you don't want to eat it, then say no and say no and say no, and it will get easier from a physiological standpoint with the gut bacteria, but also mentally, because you'll be clear. I know what to do in that situation. I've done it before, many times, and I can do it again, no problem. So practically, okay, how to kind of nurture yourself through that. As Logan Forrest Murray said, yes, drink water. Lots of water, lots of hydration. Very good tip there. Make sure you're eating enough. Figure out how many calories you need to eat. Track your calories. Make sure you're hitting them if you think maybe you're not eating enough food. Focus on high nutrient foods, such as green juice, low glycemic green juices. What I mean by that is not sweetened with a lot of fruit, maybe some green apple, but mostly veggies, cucumber, celery, herbs. Straight celery juice is another good one that I have every day. Cheers. Lots of greens, lots of living foods, microgreens, sprouts, sea veggies, herbs, berries, the barley grass juice powder, wheatgrass juice powder, as I was just talking about, and all the veggies. If you're really getting in those high nutrient foods, you're going to have way less cravings. And it's like, oh, like whatever, maybe, but you'll see if you try it and really start focusing on the greens and living foods, I think you'll be amazed. And make sure your calories are dialed in. With that combo, it's like the cravings will go away over time. Sit with it. Let the craving burn through you. If you're on a properly balanced, low but adequate fat, so some fat, raw vegan diet, focusing on high nutrient foods, eventually you're not going to have them, because if you're really consistent with that, you're not going to have the gut bacteria for that, and you're going to know this is what I do. And you're nourished. When you're nourished, you're not going to crave. But you have to be nourished from a macronutrient perspective, getting in the calories, the fat, the protein, the carbs, and a micronutrient perspective, all the trace minerals, vitamins, phytochemicals, all of that, the living enzymes, all that goodness. And if it's really tough, do an enema. Flush it on out. Drink some water. Do an enema. Have a hot lemon water. Have a herbal tea. Have a cravings crusher tea. Combination of hibiscus, peppermint, and licorice. And, do some journaling. Like, what are you feeling? Maybe talk to someone about it. You can do it. Just say no and keep saying no, and it will get easier. I promise. All right, changing gears into the Ayurveda mode. So, got some great questions about the doshas. Can you talk more about the doshas? I want to drink some celery juice first because this is a whammy. Try not to spill it on myself. All right, the doshas. What are the doshas? How many of y'all are familiar with Ayurveda at all? As we're going to get pretty basic here. It's good stuff. It's really good stuff. So Ayurveda is based on the science of life. It's an ancient Indian system of medicine, the science of life. It is a preventative and a treatment. And it is all about the elements. The doshas are all combinations of the elements. What are the elements? You've got earth, fire, water, air, ether. And these are what the Ayurvedics say are the building blocks of life. And all living things are composed of different proportions of all of these elements. And the doshas are combinations of the 5 elements that we perceive through the 5 senses. Our sense perceptions, our eyes, our nose, our mouth, our ears, our skin, our touch, right? So those are the elements, and those are the doshas. The 5 elements, yeah, I already said that. The doshas are dynamic, and they change in response to weather, conditions, and stress. But we are born with an innate constitution. Yeah. And there's a beautiful thing I'll talk about in a minute, but I'm referring to my notes because I want to get everything right. So bear with me. Habits and tendencies are manifestations of your dosha. They influence, our habits and tendencies will also influence our constitution in a positive or negative way. So it's a bit of a cycle. It's a dynamic. It's 2 things that are interacting with one another. Our constitution, the environment. Our constitution, the environment, shaping each other. It's not just a one-way street. So vata dosha is a combination of ether and air. Those are the 2 principal elements. The body parts associated with vata are the skin and the ears. The senses are sound and touch. Qualities of vata are clear, light, subtle, cold, dry. The functions of vata are expansion, vibration, movement, and mobility. So these are the people that are little light fairies. I love vatas. Little light fairies, and like they're running around, always doing a million things, maybe talking a lot, talking fast, lots of ideas, right? They're fun to be around. They're entertaining, and tend to have more of a slim physique and maybe not so much of an appetite, kind of have to remember, oh, I gotta eat, tend towards weight loss, have some issues with dry skin a lot of the times, maybe dry, brittle hair, and yeah, they're awesome though. Vatas are awesome. All the doshas are awesome. That's another thing. There's not one that's like better than the others. They're all great. So next one we've got is Pitta. Pitta is a combination of fire and water. So it's not just fire. A lot of people think Pitta, fire. It's actually water also. The body part associated with Pitta is the eyes. Pittas tend to have very intense eyes, like a real penetrating gaze. You know those people, they look at you in the eye and you're like, okay, like I feel like seen through. That's a Pitta. The sense is sight. The qualities are hot, heat, mobile, slight fluidity. So these people are running hot a lot of the times, okay? And may have like a bit of a flush to them, like a redness to the skin tone. Lots of sweating, sometimes body odor if they're out of balance. Really sharp mind, hot temper, quick to anger, quick thinking. So is Vata. But Pitta, tendency towards anger is like what an out of balance Pitta mind looks like. Functions of Pitta are vision and transformation. And in the body, it's like metabolism and digestion, and a lot to do with like the glands too. Kapha is a combination of water and earth. The body parts, and again with kapha, that's one that, Pitta's fire, okay, kapha's earth, but this is something that my mind was blown a bit in India, learning the water element being in both Pitta and in kapha. So kapha, water, earth. Body parts are nose and tongue, so all the smells, all the tastes, those are the senses. The qualities are dense, stable, solid. And the function of kapha in the body is it supports, it holds, it nourishes. Excuse me, a little celery juice happening there. And the kapha personality or person is, like the mothering, nurturing, calming, just like cozy and sweet, and loves talking to the loved ones, and real emotionally, kapha is like on point, really, really on point. Out of balance kapha, stagnant, stuck, not moving, inertia, depression. I talked all about kapha imbalance in a previous live, I think my last one or the one before that, in depth. But yeah, kaphas are great to be around too. Again, they're all good. There's no one that's bad. So more about the dynamic nature of the doshas. We have the prakriti. Maybe you've heard of it. Maybe you've heard me post about it or talk about it. Maybe it's a new word for you. And prakriti basically means innate constitution, innate nature, body constitution. And in the West, this is normally what the dosha is. It's just like dosha, prakriti is the dosha. When you're taking a quiz, a dosha quiz online, typically you're going to get the results for your prakriti, your innate constitution. Unless it's really talking about current imbalances, which we'll get to. So breaking down prakriti, pra means first. Kriti means formed or creation. So first formed or first creation. And prakriti, I love this. When this is like straight from my notes from my Ayurvedic teacher in India. This is what she said, and I just wrote it down because I thought it was so beautiful. It's like metaphor, but reality too. Prakriti starts from seeds, the mother's ovum and the father's sperm. The seeds are planted in the land, the mother's uterus. Water represents the mother's food and lifestyle during her pregnancy. The sun represents karmic forces of cause and effect that span multiple lifetimes. So that water element is, what's nourishing the seed. And that is, actual water, hydration, but also the nourishment, the food that the mom brings in. And what she's doing, how she's feeling, what she's struggling with, or, how she's shining during that pregnancy. And the sun, some of y'all might have problems with it. I know I've shared on YouTube some Ayurveda videos, and I talk about like lifetimes or past lives, and people flip out. If the past life thing doesn't resonate or the karma thing doesn't resonate, that's fine. That's cool. But yeah, in this analogy, sun represents the karmic forces of cause and effect that span multiple lifetimes. And you can think of that as just cause and effect from this lifetime if you want to think of it that way too. That's fine. That works. All right. So prakriti is expressed as a combination of elements or doshas. So you've got vata, pitta, kapha, vata, pitta, pitta, kapha, kapha, vata, vata, pitta, kapha. Those are all the possible combinations of a dosha that you can get. And prakriti typically is a combination of two doshas. And if it's just one, if you say you're just vata, it's a little harder to balance typically. Like it's a bit easier to get out of balance if you're just vata or you're just pitta or you're just kapha rather than the double dosha. So something to keep in mind. Now, if you're thinking, what about that tridoshic one, the vata, pitta, kapha? Those are pretty rare. They're the rare examples of balance, and that's like the enlightened yogi meditating in a cave who doesn't need to eat food because they're breatharian, and they've like enlightened to the point where their human needs are like totally coming from the internal infinitude of within. So there are, more modern day examples of that. But that's what my mind always goes to. I love that image. I love that image. Anyway, so yeah, the goal is to be balanced among all three. Even if you're just vata or you're just vata pitta, to have balance and not have one that's way too high, one that's way too low, something like that. Usually it's like too high in Western culture, at least. So, moving on. Prakriti cannot be fundamentally changed. I was talking about that dynamic earlier. Oh, it changes. The Prakriti doesn't. What changes is... Oh, and one more thing about Prakriti. Prakriti you want to examine along 3 levels. This is another thing that, Ayurveda in the West, maybe not so much talked about. Ayurveda in India, straight from the source, they talked about this. It blew my mind. But examining Prakriti, your dosha, your innate constitution, along 3 lines. The physical structural, so things like body size, weight, skin, hair, nails, bones, your structure. Functional, meaning your digestion, your metabolism, the activities going on in your body, that burn, burn, burn. How are things working? As well as the mental, emotional. Okay, 3 lines. So you can have like 3 levels of analysis going on through your dosha. You might be, vata pitta, prakriti, but have an imbalance with kapha, like your mind is really, your body's really in the kapha zone, like holding on to weight, but your mind is really in the vata pitta zone where it's like gone freaking crazy with lots of anxiety and like anger and things. So that's another like level of analysis and depth and nuance that you can really dig into in Ayurveda, which I find very beautiful and exciting. So more about those imbalances. The Prakriti cannot be fundamentally changed. Your innate constitution, it ain't changing. What may change is your Vikriti. So Vikriti is where you're at right now. Another way to look at it is Vikriti is imbalance that results when we are not living in harmony with Prakriti, our innate constitution, our elemental nature. So Vikriti, this sounds so weird. The V part, VI, means after, and Kriti again is formed or creation. So after formed or after creation is the interpretation there. So it's the state of the 3 doshas after conception. Under ideal circumstances, your Vikriti and your Prakriti will be the same. In the womb, you're Prakriti, you're Vata Pitta. You're conceived, you come out, you're Vikriti, Vata Pitta. You're the same. You have loving parents, low stress environment, very natural environment. You're fed a natural diet, you're breastfed, all the things. You have all the things. Those 2 things are the same. How often do you think that happens nowadays? Not very often. So really not common. Yes, idealistically, optimally, that's how things are happening. But in this world as it is now, very, very uncommon situation. So if you're not nourished and nurtured properly, if you're grown up and live in a less than optimal environment, which most of us are living in, your Vikriti will be different than your Prakriti. And it's not a bad thing. So your Vikriti gives you clues as to what signs and symptoms are going on, what imbalances are causing your diseases, what imbalances are causing your symptoms. Very, very good signpost for that. And what I mean by environment is what is taken in by the 5 senses. So everything you're seeing, smelling, tasting, touching, feeling, as well as the nature of your lifestyle. So it's not just, oh, I live in Hawaii. it's like a lot of things. It's like, what media am I consuming? What audio am I listening to? Am I hearing the sounds of nature all day? Am I hearing machines all day? Am I staring at pavement and working in like a pavement concrete jungle situation? Am I living in a concrete jungle situation? Or do I have a nice yard? Do I have lots of plants in my house? All of these things factor in. What food am I eating? What smells am I smelling? You know, am I smelling chemicals all day? Am I smelling artificial perfumes? Ew, gross. You know, these all matter. But yeah, does that make sense, y'all? Prakriti, Vikriti. Usually, optimally, they would be the same, but most likely they're not. And Vikriti is where you are currently and what current imbalances you're having. And so it often does not match Prakriti. You may be thinking, where do I find all out? You know, what's my dosha? My favorite quiz is the Banyan Botanicals Discover Your Dosha. I linked it in my bio so that you can go there. And I like their quiz because they give you Prakriti and they give you Vikriti. And they give you these nice... Sorry, I just had a call. That hasn't happened before. Anyway, they give you nice little pie charts showing you what your Prakriti is, what percentage is vata, what percentage is kapha, what percentage is pitta. And then they give you the same pie chart for your Vikriti. So you can see with your Vikriti and Prakriti, do they match? Probably not. That's okay. Okay, in your Vikriti, which dosha is like the overwhelming one, you know, that's extreme? Is it kapha, is it vata, or is it pitta? And that's the one to start looking at and trying to balance, which we'll talk about in just a second. But I wanted to mention, if you're like, oh, this stuff is really cool and interesting, go watch my videos on YouTube. My channel's Taylor and Norris. Link for that is in my bio. Please subscribe. I just got 500 subscribers, which is not that many, but to me it is. So I'm very excited about that. And I also have a book called Ayurveda Basics, where I break a lot of this down in detail, because it can be kind of hard to absorb, you know, just hearing it or just reading it. It's nice to absorb. I like to absorb information and lots of different levels. So I have it all clearly laid out in Ayurveda Basics. I have more information in Rawfood Ayurveda Volume 1 and 2, my recipe books, as well as lots of information coming in Rawfood Ayurveda Volume 3. I have total balancing sections for each of the doshas, as well as a special section for weight loss for kapha. And that book will be coming out soon. But all my ebooks right now are on sale, 33% off, magical 33 with code NOW, all caps NOW, as in the time is now, the power of now. And that link to my ebooks is in my bio. If you're a paperback person, links are there for those. Just my recipes are in paperback books so far. My next book will be in hard copy, paperback, as well as ebook. And y'all, it's beautiful. I just got it approved on Amazon. I'm so excited. I ordered a proof. The proof should be coming like next week, and as soon as I see it, I like it, yes, we love it, I'm gonna do like a book launch countdown and a giveaway. Y'all are the first to hear about that, but I'm gonna be doing a giveaway, which is really exciting. Sorry, there was a little notification thing up there from my phone call. And yeah, so there will be a giveaway of the ebook and actual paperback copy. Yay! And it's so beautiful. I'm so excited. Anyway, so a couple more questions here. I think we have some time left. These hours go by so fast. So, number 6, if I'm Pitta Kapha dosha, should I work on my Pitta symptoms first? How do I know what to do? You want to take the quiz, and I know the person who asked me this question did take the quiz, and the one that I recommended, so she got her Prakriti and her Vikriti, and in her Vikriti, Pitta was the biggest one, so that's what you start working with. You want to start with whatever dosha is most out of balance and start working on bringing it down if it's excessive, and most of the time when we're out of balance, it's matters of excess in Western society. Too much Pitta, you want to work on calming Pitta. How do you do that? Low fat, raw vegan diet for the win every time. So cooling, so beautiful for Pitta dosha, really, really balancing. So low fat but adequate fat, lots of seeds. I wouldn't be doing a lot of, I would focus on omega-3 fats and lowering inflammation that way, not eating just all omega-6, lots of avocados and stuff. If you can have your avocado at night, that's a beautiful cooling food. Maybe have it with some cucumber, some nori, some sea veggies, some sunflower microgreens. But make sure you're having some flaxseed during the day or some chia seeds so that your ratio is more of a 1-to-1 and not so out of balance towards the omega-6. Another good thing you can do is my morning detox elixir of choice. So good. I do hot water, which for Pitta you could do warm water, so not boiling water. A liter of that, and cut half a lemon, peel it, or a whole lemon, depending on. DM me these questions so I can add them to my list, okay? I appreciate them. Anyone who submitted a question, so I'm not going to answer it right now. So you take half a lemon or a whole lemon, depending on your lemon tolerance, or you can do lime if you're into that. Lemon and lime, both soothing to Pitta. Peel it, throw it in your blender with a nugget of ginger, a nugget of turmeric. Now you may be thinking, oh, ginger is fiery. Go easy on it, see how you do. But the turmeric is great, anti-inflammatory, super healing and pacifying. Put in a cooling herb like parsley or cilantro, blend that up, strain it through a nut milk bag. Put it in your jar. Probably not a jar. I like to do it in my hydro flask so it stays warm, and then have it in teacups, which are now stained yellow. Thank you, turmeric. That is a great morning elixir. Yes, coconut oil. So for Pitta imbalance, what they told me in India is ghee calms Pitta. Well, ghee is freaking clarified butter, and if you are vegan, then don't go into the ghee unless you're like, that resonates, right? But for my recommendation, the substitute is coconut oil, a very soothing oil. Don't eat it unless you eat oil and you like eating oil, but I don't recommend eating it. What to do instead? You can oil pull and get lots of benefits that way. Spit it out, you oil pull, swish for a while, and for like 10-15 minutes, as long as you can stand it, and you want to spit that out into a trash can. Not your toilet, not the sink, because the oil will get all cloggy up in there and you don't want that to happen. And yes, don't swallow any of it because you're pulling out lots of toxins from the mouth. So coconut oil pulling, great. And you can also do some coconut oil self-massage before you shower is what they say in Ayurveda. But if you're not into that, you can do after you shower too and get good benefits there. Other things, avoid spices, onions, garlic, hot chili. Yeah, all the fun stuff. I know. You can do a little black pepper, a little ginger, a little turmeric, like I said. You can shift more towards cooling herbs, basil, cilantro, mint, dill, parsley, those types of things. But yeah, you're not going to be wanting to go hard on the smoked paprika and cayenne and chili powder and that kind of thing, jalapeno peppers and whatnot. Another thing you can do, green juices, celery juice, great choice. Green smoothies, really great choice. Those will help soothe any kind of inflammation in the skin, inflammation in the gut. Diarrhea, that kind of thing. Now, if you're having a lot of mental Pitta, if you're having a lot of anger and fire and like quick temper, then you've got a Pitta mind. And Pitta mind, when it's in balance, it's like where it's at. You're the CEO, you're the boss. You're super competitive. So make sure you're doing non-competitive sports and physical activities. Yoga is going to be super soothing. And also realize it might be liver detox going on too if you're having a lot of anger. So give your liver some love. And all those greens will help with that. The parsley and the green juices and stuff. And yeah, so yoga is good. And take time to relax and unwind and just, like I said, breathe, meditate, pranayama, cooling breath. cooling breaths. So you're not going to want to do breath of fire, but you could do the alternate nostril breathing. You could do breathe in like that through your teeth and out through your nose. You can do breathing in through your tongue like that and out through your nose. Shitkari and Shittali are two of those breaths. Really, really wonderful pranayama. Okay, just a few more minutes left. I have one more question I wanted to answer. Hey, Tina in the house. Hey, girl, we're talking in an hour. Yay, can't wait. I've been told many times that being raw is bad for those with vata imbalance. What do you think? Well, I need to know more about the nature and severity of your vata imbalance and specifically what your vata imbalance entails. For example, someone recovering from years and years of severe anorexia who's underweight and wanting to put on weight. Okay, maybe you don't want to be raw vegan. Or maybe you want to work with someone and craft a very healthy, well-rounded, nutritionally complete, macronutrient-rich, micronutrient-rich, calorie-balanced approach to raw vegan. And you can do that, okay? But maybe not. It's individual, right? If that's gonna like mess with your mind in a negative way, then don't do that. So what is the nature of the vata imbalance and how severe is it? Also, how committed is this vata to being raw? If you're really committed, rock on, do it. Ayurveda teachers told me not to do it. And I wasn't coming in as a vata. They were messing with my mind, saying, oh, you gotta be like enlightened yogi to do a raw diet. But I'm determined to make this work, and I'm making it work, and I'm getting results, and I love it. So, you know, if you have that fire and that motivation from within to be raw vegan, that feels like your truth, I think you gotta fight for it. You gotta do it, and, you know, dive deep down, reach deep down, and come to terms with what is your motivation, what is your why, what do you want to heal, why do you want this? Be really, really clear about that. Are you willing to do everything it takes to make it work? We're really close on time here. Are you willing to get the support, the coaching, the education that you need to succeed? Because it might take that. And are you willing to apply what you learn and persist? If so, yes, do it. I have tips in my books about how to kind of change your recipes up and little things you can do, tips and tricks to make it more workable. Lots more tips coming in Rawfood Ayurveda Volume 3. But yeah, stay warm if you're a vata on a raw vegan diet, and yeah, you can make it work. Eat fat, eat fat, don't go overt fat free, don't eat a lot of frozen fruit, frozen foods. Warm soups are really good. Warm dishes in the dehydrator are really good. Not fully dehydrated things though. But yeah, it's 11:01. They're probably gonna kick me off soon. Thank y'all so much for coming. This was awesome. DM me your questions so I can add it to my list and I will answer them next time. I'm going live tomorrow on the topic of periods with Portia J Healing. If you are into the period thing, then DM me your questions. I'm making a list for that. We're going to dive way deep into that tomorrow. So thank you everyone who came. Sending you so much love. Have a beautiful Tuesday. Much love to you. Namaste. Mwah.